I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make
You are listening to Burgers and Fries with a Shake, episode 22, continuing our Star Wars month, where we are going to talk today about the Star Wars Prequel Trilogy, along with what we love about it and what we don't like about it. I'm DesertCoyote22, and of course you all know our other hosts, right?
It's me, Tony, TTBurger, continuing Star Wars month all month long in May, like I mentioned before. Game reviews, podcasts, top 10 lists, and more.
Well, so we're just like before. We're going to talk about our experiences with it, what the Star Wars entirely means to us, and of course, we were the ripe old age. We were the proper age group when the Star Wars prequel trilogy came out. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, came out in 1999 when I was 11. And then I was in the middle of high school when when Episode 2 came out, and then when Episode 3 came out, I was almost out of high school. So, young, impressionable. What about you, Tony?
Oh, I remember I was 10 years old when episode 1 came out. I remember all the marketing, like the Taco Bell Happy Meals, and
Oh, yes, that's right.
yeah.
Oh, that is going to be so fun to talk about.
Yeah, the Taco Bell Happy Meals, the Link toy, the posters, the ads, the Pepsi cans with all the Star Wars characters on them too, episode 1. You couldn't get enough of it. The marketing was everywhere.
Hyped beyond belief. It's amazing. I mean, there's also the movie. You ever seen the movie Fanboys?
No.
It's got a lot of, I think Justin Long is in it. Sarah Michelle Gellar is in it. Or not Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kristen Bell is in it. And it's obviously about a group of young guys trying to get to the George Lucas Skywalker Ranch because they have a friend of theirs who's going to die. So that's the movie, is them trying to get to Skywalker Ranch. Ultimately, the kid who's about to die does get a little preview of the new Star Wars movie. But so then the movie ends with them all going to the premiere of Episode 1. They're all in costumes. They're all cosplaying, lightsabers, Leia costumes galore. And the final line of that movie, guess what that final line of the movie is, Tony?
What?
What if it sucks? And look, when I was 11, I did not think Episode 1 was terrible. What did you think?
When I first saw it, I didn't think it was that bad either, because, it was Star Wars. It was hyped up. You were going to see the hyped up movie as a kid, and no matter what.
So I remember I was given like the picture book of Star Wars Episode 1. So it was like a children's book that had all pictures from the movie. So I actually knew before I went and saw the movie what was going to happen to Qui-Gon Jinn, because the picture, it narrates that, Qui-Gon he gets he gets impaled by a lightsaber and he dies, blah, blah, blah. So I actually knew, and this is before the internet doing spoilers, so I knew Qui-Gon was going to die at the end of Episode 1 because of Darth Maul. But again, I still enjoyed it. I thought, that's too bad. It's the green lightsaber and he loses. That sucked. But wait, Obi-Wan uses Qui-Gon's lightsaber and takes out Darth Maul and slices him up.
You forgot to mention the dual lightsaber Darth Maul had.
There's a reason why the dual lightsaber is one of the most remembered things about all of Star Wars. Is it's one of the coolest things ever.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
My brother had a Darth Maul coin bank that it talked and stuff like that, and it would say like the one-liners or so. And by the time it was done, that bottom part of the lightsaber would close and stuff like that, which is kind of weird, but what can you do?
If you were collecting toys at that time, or if you were a kid, you definitely wanted Darth Maul's lightsaber as a toy. It was, because lit up double-bladed red lightsaber. What more could you want? And of course, what I also really love about Episode 1 is the score, because Duel of the Fates, that particular passage, is just as iconic as the Imperial March. It's right up there. What do you think?
Oh, I love that song. The Imperial March is better, but heck, this song it comes close.
Mm-hmm. So lots of hype. You can tell they put a lot of effort in it. What did you think about the CGI at first? Because it's clearly different than the original trilogy. Like the robots getting sliced, the CGI Gungans. Like, what did you just think of how the movie was pretty much more CGI than practical?
Coming
Did you
from a
like it
kid,
at first?
coming from a kid's perspective, I liked it at first. Yes, because like ooh, flashy effects, ooh, pretty colors, stuff. Every kid is gonna be that way.
Right.
But as an
But then
adult,
we also look, yeah, as an adult, we're like, ugh,
I miss
why is
I
this?
miss the physical effects from the original movies.
Without a doubt. And there's one big change, obviously, with Yoda, where he's a puppet in the theatrical release, and I think in VHS as well. When did they switch him
Blu-ray,
to
Blu-ray,
CGI?
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
Yes, Blu-ray.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I have no opinion on that because it's just one small thing. Although I like the puppet better, it's just that you can't bash a movie just for that one small change.
You really can't, but then I know you haven't watched episode 8 again, which of course you need to, just so you can revel in our misery. But Puppet Yoda makes an appearance in episode 8. Why Puppet Yoda when you've spent 20 fucking years having him as CGI Yoda?
I heard about that, and that's probably because of an homage to Empire Strikes Back or something.
Oh, goodness gracious! And then with Mace Windu, I remember when the toy line started to come out. Did Mace Windu have a purple lightsaber
Yes,
before you saw it in episode 2?
yes, he did. The toy, yes.
He did. So I am seeing the same thing correctly. I remember the toy line coming out. Hey, check out this new character, Mace Windu, and he has a purple lightsaber in the toy. And this is before you had ever seen him with a lightsaber at all. So I am correct that he had a purple lightsaber in the episode 1 toy line.
Yes, he did.
Okay, good. That's all I need to remember. So that way it wasn't so surprising to me when he has a purple one when I see it in episode 2, but we can move on. So who do you think is the main character in this movie, Tony? Is it Qui-Gon or is it Obi-Wan?
Well, to be honest with you, I thought it was Obi-Wan started that, but then recently I learned Qui-Gon is the main protagonist, and I thought, how could he be the main protagonist when he dies at the end in Star Wars? That's the first in Star Wars where the main protagonist in the Star Wars movie franchise dies. So, I always thought it was Obi-Wan because he killed Darth Maul, and he was the one being trained, not the trainer, and it's his responsibility to train Anakin. So I thought he was the main protagonist because 'cause even my brother thought too he was the main protagonist. Just thought it was him because he was in A New Hope and stuff as well. I thought that too. He was in A New Hope, but thought he has to be the main character.
Well, right. You're thinking, okay, this is where you see Obi-Wan as a young man. You see Anakin as a child. You see the Emperor Palpatine as a young man. Various characters that you knew in the original trilogy, you're seeing them when they're significant, when they're a little younger. Yoda, not so much because he's already 900 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just 30 years younger. He still is going to pretty much look the same.
Yeah.
But no, I always thought Qui-Gon was the main character because you remember when this movie goes to Tatooine, the Qui-Gon takes a back seat. Not Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan takes a back seat. Obi-Wan stays with the ship, and you only see him for a couple lines. But it's pretty much for about 30 minutes or 40 minutes, however long they're on Tatooine, until Anakin flies with him to Coruscant. It's Qui-Gon's show, along with Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Why didn't Obi-Wan go with them?
Qui-Gon is the Jedi Master, and he instructed his Padawan to stay in the ship.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because yeah, because I guess that is true. But he did. Qui-Gon was the only one who watched the pod race and all that stuff and met Anakin first and all of them. So that is true there. And I guess I guess you can see why he's also the main protagonist because he has a green lightsaber, like how Luke did in Return of the Jedi as well.
Well, and then as we get to, most Jedis have either green or blue. The only one who is purple is Mace Windu, and he did that on purpose to help him stand out. And then obviously there's some expanded universe lore why Mace Windu has purple. As you get to the Old Republic lore, they had orange, they had multiple color lightsabers.
Mara Jade had purple as well. Mara Jade.
Right. Of course, the character that Disney nixed. Fuck them.
We'll talk. I got to hear about this later on and stuff. How they nixed her.
Well, oh yeah, we're definitely going to talk a lot about the Disney trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So the pod race. What'd you think about that?
Well, I thought it was cool, but a little noisy. Especially Saboba's pod racer was very noisy, like that's all I remember of the pod racer when I first heard was just that Anakin Saboba and Saboba's pod racer just came apart somehow and stuff like that, and Anakin ends up winning and stuff.
Noisy.
Yeah, you know
Noisy.
the noisy little end. Saboba's edge.
Okay, dude. My father, when surround sound was the thing, when you could actually buy the equipment to install surround sound in your living room, he played that scene constantly. We loved watching that scene for the sound effects.
So I take you played episode 1 Racer on the N64 and PC as well then?
I did not play episode 1 Racer. I did play episode 1 The Phantom Menace on PS1 though. So when we talk to video games as well. But no, I would agree though when you get older. Of course there is one character we also have to mention, and that is Jar Jar Binks. When I was 11, I thought he was funny. I remember even my older brother, who was in his 30s at the time, thought Jar Jar was funny. But then you realized how annoying he gets as you get older.
The truth is, Anthony, is that like I don't think he's as bad as what people make him out to be. I think like look at characters like Kylo Ren and stuff like that, and Rey Skywalker and all the people from the Sequel trilogy. They're much worse than Jar Jar Binks.
Well, it's like a succession almost. I mean, a lot of people who were complaining about Jar Jar Binks were the same people who liked Ewoks, and then you have the argument, well, no, Ewoks make Jar Jar Binks look like Shakespeare.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, yeah, there is good and bad in everything, but if you notice, as we go through the prequel trilogy, there's less Jar Jar as the film goes on.
Yeah.
So you have George Lucas, who's famous for making modifications after the movie is made. He's making modifications while he's making his trilogy due to the fan backlash of Jar Jar. So he goes from being a very key supporting character in episode 1 to having 2 scenes total in episode 2 to literally a burp in episode 3, and that's it.
Yeah, I heard even before I saw episode 3, he didn't talk and all that stuff. But then again, it didn't really bother me anyway. But I know why they didn't let him talk. People were so annoyed by him and stuff. But
it is an annoying voice, absolutely, and it's no disrespect to Ahmed Best. He did what he could do. What did you think about the perceived racism in episode 1? Because you had the Asian stereotypes of the Trade Federation. You had the Jamaican black guy stereotypes of Jar Jar. You had Watto being the big-nosed Jewish stereotype. Did you ever hear anything about that?
No, not really, no.
I didn't think much of it. To me, it was just a movie.
Yeah, it's the movie, I know.
But there were always people talking about that. It's like, well, how dare they do stuff like that? How dare they play to stereotypes? It's a fucking movie.
Yeah, it's just a movie, people. Calm down.
And, of course, Kid Anakin. Is it Jake Lloyd's fault Kid Anakin was bad, or was it George Lucas' fault that Kid Anakin was bad, or is it a little bit of both?
I don't know. I don't remember much about Jake Lloyd, but I'll have to say probably both of them. Jake Lloyd was the actor, right? Jake
Lloyd is the actor, and unfortunately, you feel bad for him because did you ever see the movie Jingle All the Way?
Yes, I have.
Yes. You know he's in that, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so he did that, and then he did Star Wars Phantom Menace, and you would think that if you're Kid Anakin in Phantom Menace, that's your big break to stardom, right?
Yeah.
He got so harassed by people who recognized him that he had to be homeschooled and he had to quit acting because of it.
Why did he get harassed?
Because people didn't like how he was in episode 1. They thought Kid Anakin was annoying. Just his vocal delivery, the fact that there were times when he they would have to CGI his eyes to not look at the camera to make it look like at the character. Like something was wrong with there seemed to be something wrong with them putting Jake Lloyd to work, and you can't blame him too much. He was only 9. But is it possibly that George Lucas wasn't the best director as everybody thought he was?
Yeah, the thing. I think would have been like it could have been. He could. I mean, this part was I will be on Jake Lloyd's side. You know, he didn't deserve to be harassed for it at the same. But, you know, it was just he didn't know who. I mean, it wasn't his fault that he had to play as that character. So I thought he was picked for it and stuff. Sure, he auditioned.
Exactly. Exactly. How many kids do you think tried out to be Anakin for Episode 9? How many do you think?
Tons.
They And maybe there were better child actors at the time. How old was Haley Joel Osment at the time? Maybe he was too old. But there were probably more capable child actors they could have used, but they picked Jake Lloyd. But we obviously didn't really talk too much about the editing of Episode 4. Because remember, everybody was thinking, oh man, George Lucas is a genius, but people don't realize that he had lots of help when he directed Episode 4. In terms of editing, in terms of storytelling, and he took a lot of ideas. So then it goes back, and then if you go back to the original scenes that were cut, they actually remind you a little bit of the prequels. It's the same wooden acting. It's the same over-wordy dialogue. You know anything about this, Tony?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, is George Lucas as good as he said he was, or was he clearly over his head when he took full reign of the prequel trilogy when it came to acting?
That's a tough one to answer there.
Because it wasn't just Jake Lloyd. It was everybody. Natalie Portman doesn't give a good performance. Samuel L. Jackson. You can just tell a lot of the actors in the first 2 movies at least, they're just really wooden. A lot of people noticed that, and that was a lot of the big critiques when it came to Episode 1 when it came out is, oh, this just seems way too complicated for a movie about space wizards, and that's why they don't like it.
How old was Padme in the first movie?
Natalie Portman, she had to have been like in her either late teens, so she probably could have been 17, 18.
No, how old
there
was
was a movie.
The character.
Padme had to have been maybe
14?
in her 20s. Well, Padme would have had to have been, I think Padme's what, like 10 years older than Anakin? So she had to have been in her early 20s.
And I don't remember what happened in Episode 1. Was there like a love interest from the beginning in Episode 1 between those two?
Well, you have that whole, are you an angel line. And then it's just heavily implied that Anakin is the one who has the feelings for her when you get into Episode 2. But you really didn't see much of that. But I think a lot of people, when they watched Episode 1, just kind of got the idea, oh yeah, he's going to be with the Queen later. Because at that point, she was Queen Amidala. Oh, God. There was a movie called The Professional where Natalie Portman was 14 when she was in it. And that would have been like 1993. So Natalie Portman was probably in her early 20s when Episode 1 came out.
Probably, yeah.
So any other thoughts on Episode 1? I mean, we love the lightsaber duel. We love Duel of the Fates. I can actually tell you this. Even though I knew that we were going to see the Emperor as a young guy, I actually had to put 2 and 2 together, that this Sidious Sith Lord guy and the Emperor as the young guy were the same.
Yes.
They did such a good time, they fooled me. Yeah. Even though I knew the Emperor was going to be in there as a young guy.
Yeah. We forgot to mention C-3PO and R2-D2 meeting for the first time too, and then to realize that Anakin was one who created C-3PO.
That's a running gag almost. That's the Robot Chicken joke where it's like, and Princess Leia is your sister, and I created C-3PO.
Yeah, and the origin of R2-D2 and stuff too. It's like, I thought it was kind of cool where you like
It was cool, but do you think it was fan service, or did they really serve a purpose to it? I think R2 more than C-3PO.
It's actually interesting for that C-3PO. Anthony Daniels, it wasn't a costume. It was kind of like a little walking puppet that Anthony Daniels was using to start that. I don't know if you knew that. Oh, you knew that too?
Well, dude, it's quite obvious Anthony Daniels is not in that. It's a voiceover.
Yeah, because like it wasn't finished, and you would see through the costume and everything. I do remember one funny part where he activates him and he forgot to put one of the eyes on. He's like, oh my god, where's everybody? And then he meets Archie, which I think was
Hmm.
kind of cute there. And but he didn't. The battle droids are cool. I like the battle droids. I like the battle droids were some cool looking characters. That was one of the first things I saw of episode one. Like when the marketing was like the battle droids on those things they were riding or so like that.
They were definitely marketing just, hey, look what we can do with CGI. Now we don't see, instead of stormtroopers, it's CGI robots that we're knowing.
Yeah. When I first saw those things, I thought they were the good guys when I first saw those things. But then you want to know how I found out that they were the bad guys? I had my grade school crush ask my friend if they were good or bad, and she goes, they're bad. And I thought, oh shoot, I was wrong. But I know like they also, I'm sure you all look the, I'm sure you know that all of them look the same except for the one that had the yellow on the top of it. That was the leader one, right? The one with the yellow on top.
Whatever.
Just
They had a little, I know the details you're talking about, but sure.
yeah. You're under arrest. Throw them away. Where are you taking them?
Roger, Roger.
Roger. System malfunction. Exterminate. Roger. Roger. You get to fight those in Geonosis in Star Wars Rebel Strike Rogue Squadron 3 when Wedge crashes his X-Wing down. Yeah.
And you get to play as them in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the OG.
Yeah.
And how disappointed were you when the new Battlefront by EA comes out and you don't get to play as the prequel trilogy people?
Disappointed.
Well, like, we're paying all that for something that they took away two entire armies that we couldn't play as? Come on.
Yeah, and I also about to mention, I want to go back to Rebel Strike for a second here.
Sure.
Wedge actually finds a Jedi starfighter that's like crash landed, but his R5 unit actually gets it to work and has this sonic charge boom. So it's actually interesting there because I like the Jedi starfighter. It's a really cool ship. It's like a lot of
Well, should I talk about the episode? I think we should talk about the episode 1 video game or episode 1 racers when we get to the video game section.
yeah.
Any last things to say about episode 1 before we move on to Attack of the Clones?
To be honest with you, it's not that good of a film, but compared to the sequel trilogy, this game actually seems excellent and stuff because it's the origin and stuff like that. I understand it wasn't going to be as epic as like the other ones with it was all done CG and stuff like that, which I'll admit they kind of got carried away with the CG effects there. They kind of went a little carried away with this stuff, like when you look at the AT-ATs and the ATSTs and stuff, and like the ships and that, those are all physical things, but this is all just stuff exists inside a computer, so which kind of was a little disappointment there. And I do agree with James Rolfe when he's mentioned that stuff too in one of his videos.
Of course, we're talking CGI overload in episode 1, and oh boy, did they go into the overload with Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
I did not. I don't hate Phantom Menace. I think there's
Neither do I.
there's definitely good things about it. But obviously, I don't think it's the worst Star Wars movie.
Nope.
That I think goes to episode 2. Actually, no. There's another movie that's the worst Star Wars movie, but before that, that's episode 2.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to explain why I think Attack of the Clones is worse than episode 1. Now, when I first saw it, I thought episode 2 was better because I thought they did improve a little bit on. They improved on the action. They improved a little bit on the storytelling. I enjoyed a lot of what I was seeing. Of course, you have Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, which is freaking awesome.
I know.
Who's also playing Saruman at the same time these movies are coming out. You have that big old climax scene with the Jedis in action, and you have the battle on Geonosis. But my biggest complaint about episode 2, it's boring. What do you think?
I do agree there, but just that it's been so long since I've seen episode 2 that I don't really remember everything about it. I do remember Hayden Christensen playing as Anakin. Well, I do admit he's okay, but just that he comes off as way too whiny at times. Stuff like that. I mean, I already knew of actor Hayden Christensen when he was in an episode of Real Kids Real Adventure. It was this show that was based on true stories where they reenacted. It was all done in Canada and stuff, and that's how I first learned about Hayden Christensen. He plays this character named Eli something, where he was trying to help his disabled father one day when their van broke down and stuff. That's kind of top. That's how I learned about Hayden Christensen. So I think, hey, that guy was familiar, and I realized it was him, Hayden Christensen. And I remember the promos and everything like that were like, I remember like at first I didn't know who the character was. I thought that can't be Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's voice is deeper than that. And I heard about Anakin, and I realized it's Anakin, and because Obi-Wan looked different this time. It was the same. It was the same actor.
Obi-Wan turned into Jesus.
Yeah,
When
Ewan
he grows a
McGregor.
beard, his hair is a little longer. He grows a beard. People will often share that meme of Obi-Wan in episode 2 is like, how I bet you you're never going to share. I bet you're too chicken to share this meme of Jesus, and it's Obi-Wan.
Yeah, because when you're watching this movie, you can see that Anakin's starting to get some anger in him and stuff that like slowly turn to the dark side, but slowly you
Well,
can see.
those anger issues really never left him. They were reluctant to train him in episode 1 because they were afraid that, ooh, I sense something in this kid. Like, yeah, this kid seems to be fitting our criteria, but there's something off, and we probably shouldn't be training him. And they just kind of out of pity, or I guess as a promise to Qui-Gon, said, all right, we'll let Obi-Wan train this kid, but we'll keep as close of an eye as we can on him.
Yeah, I heard the whole thing. If Qui-Gon trained Anakin, he probably wouldn't have ended up as Vader, they say.
Possibly. Very possibly. In terms of Hayden Christensen as Anakin, again, you're right. He is not too bad, and he does not give as good of a performance as you want to give. And so you're obviously pointing out that Hayden Christensen has been in other stuff, and he's acted decently in other stuff.
Right.
He's not that bad of an actor.
No, he's not.
But again, perception is reality. So when the only thing people see Hayden Christensen in is Attack of the Clones and then later Revenge of the Sith, of course they're going to think, oh my God, how the hell did they pick this guy? But one thing about Hayden Christensen is when he doesn't talk, when you just see his facial expressions, you can definitely tell this is going to be the most feared guy in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when he starts getting upset because like the line he says to Padme, it's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back. Like, that was in the pre-video, and I remember quoting that thing so much I annoyed my friends there and stuff.
You definitely see that when he goes, I hate them. Like and then even Padme is like, oh boy, what am I going to get myself into? Because you can tell Padme has feelings, but she can't. She's trying to obviously not let it get to her.
I mean, I do feel bad for Anakin because because his mom died in his arms. I'll admit, I do feel bad about that. Because I do feel sorry for him there because his mom died in front of him in his arms like that. So yeah, I do feel bad from there, and it's just you can tell something intense is gonna be happening there and stuff. But it just
the thing that's most boring about this movie, it's those scenes involving Anakin and Padme. Basically, they go on for way too long. Where it's the slow scenes of them talking about how they feel about each other. It's a chore to get through.
Yeah, because
there doesn't seem like there's much. I'll let you talk, but doesn't seem like there's that much action. So you get like that chase in there, and then you get like a couple. You get the stuff with Obi-Wan and Jango Fett for a little bit. Then you get the Battle of Geonosis, and that's it. And I remember when I saw this in the theater, the Battle of Geonosis woke me up, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is fucking awesome! Finally, we're getting Star Wars. This is great!" And the movie's over.
Yeah, because like I do remember seeing C-3PO and stuff like, and he still wasn't finished, but he looked. You can tell it was Anthony Daniels in the costume this time. But I wish there was more of C-3PO though, because he is a key character in the original trilogy and stuff. But still, that's just me. But I do remember like
I loved it when C-3PO when he put C-3PO's head on the droid body.
Yes, I remember that.
The droid mindset overtook him, and he goes, "Die, Jedi dogs!" Oh, so I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, and then when R2 repairs him, it was all a dream. But that one thing disappointing about that scene is that they didn't even notice that C-3PO and R2-D2 were around there and stuff. I was hoping to say, R2, 3PO, what are you guys doing here? And they didn't do that. Kind of disappointed me a little bit there because it's like they were just ignoring them and stuff, which was a little weird. But yeah, it was one of those cliffhanger endings a little bit too because they don't defeat Count Dooku at the end, like it ends like that. So it kind of has that Empire feel to it at the end there because Empire Strikes Back had a cliffhanger ending, and this one kind of does too. But it was cool to see Yoda kick ass. Was really cool.
I remember my father laughing his ass off when Yoda finally comes in and just CGI's all over Christopher Lee. And I remember my sister, because she saw it before we did, because she went to the midnight screening, and she was like, "Oh yeah, Yoda's gonna kick so much ass in this movie. Just you wait." And then it finally happened, and yeah, it was one of the best things you've ever seen.
I
It was
remember
awesome.
I kind of already knew that was gonna happen. I kind of heard spoilers already from people who saw the film, like it
Right.
was right before the end of the school year and stuff. And the first thing I remember from Jar Jar is when he said, "Albie, Albie," and he's like, "Hey, Jar Jar," and yeah, and just I'm kind of off topic a little bit, but
So have an annoying voice.
yeah, but yeah, still a lot of CG there and stuff. It's like I said it was for me. It was a little better than episode one, one Phantom
You
Menace.
think it is better than episode one, and why?
I don't know. Just I like adult Anakin better than kid Anakin because he's less annoying.
Can't agree with you there.
Christopher Lee does a great performance of Count Dooku, and Yoda kicking ass at the end. And I did like the wedding scene of Padme and Anakin. I like that.
I remember when I saw it in theaters, thinking, "Gee, I wonder what two kids they're gonna have."
Yeah, well, we know that, yeah. Because, like, I already knew some of the trailers of that, but I remember, like, my dad was saying, in this movie, Anakin starts to become a little dark and bad in this movie, he says.
Of course, absolutely. They're gonna have to get to episode three. Obviously, the whole plan of the prequel trilogy was to link it eventually to episode four.
Mm-hmm, I know.
So there's only so much you can really do in episode two because three is supposed to be the big link. And then, but of course, a lot of people were disappointed in episode two. It seems to have more people that like it over episode one, and I get why. But I just remember finally when episode three was about to come out, everybody was like, I am so excited to be disappointed again. Like, they were already saying it's going to be bad. I don't want to watch it. How can they be doing this? Lucas is a fraud. He's a hack. So it was definitely lowering my expectations on how good episode three was going to be. Do you remember any of that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, with me, my expectations were a little different. I kind of was, because when I started rewatching the Star Wars trilogy again after playing Rebel Strike, because I had scenes from the movies in there, and I kind of was, the thing is that I'm gonna give a little going off topic a little bit. I couldn't watch Return of the Jedi right away because I broke the copy because I spilled pop on it years ago and allowed it to dry and it got all sticky. So I had to wait months before watching Star Wars Return of the Jedi, and then I got the DVD of the original trilogy. So my expectations were like, I wonder what caused Anakin to turn to the dark side and stuff because that's what my expectations were because like my English teacher was a huge Star Wars fan. I was showing him some stuff of what Anakin was gonna look like and stuff and everything. So my expectations were like were decent there. I just wanted to see what was gonna happen because I knew it wasn't going to be happy-go-lucky with flowers and candy and all that stuff.
Right. No, we knew it going in. This was probably going to be the darkest of any of the Star Wars movies that they do. Probably wasn't gonna have a happy ending. We all knew what this was leading into. We all knew that we were going to watch Anakin turn into Darth Vader. So the curiosity is, how's that going to happen? And so going fast forward a little bit, I'm just going to talk about when my dad and I went out of the theater. My dad, who I expected him to just be like, that was terrible. Why did we see this? Because he didn't like the other two. He didn't like episode one. He didn't like episode two. So we walk out the theater together, and my dad just goes right up to me, and he says, "You know what, Anthony? That was really fucking good." And it so surprised me how well he liked it. And we had a great car ride on the way back. Yeah, that was awesome. That was great. My God, I can't believe how good this was. I love this. I love that. Did you really like episode three?
I did. Yes, I did. I thought it was very intense, more intense than I thought it was going to be, especially like near the middle of the movie when Anakin becomes Darth Vader. And we know what caused him to become Darth Vader. He listens to Chancellor Palpatine over Mace Windu and he ends up striking Mace Windu. But you can tell he feels bad for what he did. But then he listened to the words of Palpatine and he got turned to the dark side because of that.
Right, and he's doing it because he feels like he doesn't have any other choice. Like he feels like there's no going back. he's doing what he ultimately thinks is right. He doesn't really think he's turning evil. He's doing what is necessary to get what he needs.
Yeah.
But I remember my sister-in-law, because we would all talk about the movie after we saw it. And my sister-in-law actually said that they told the story so well that she remembers being in the theater going, "No, Anakin, don't turn." Because there's that scene where he's looking off in the distance and he's sensing Padme's scared. Remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no words at all. It's just visuals and that really dark, melancholy score. And yeah, everybody, no, don't do it. You know he's going to, but you're like, no, don't do it, Anakin. Don't do it, Anakin.
The funny thing is about, let me tell you something about Palpatine. When I heard his voice and it sounded like the Emperor, I tapped on my brother's shoulder and he knew what I was going to ask him. He goes, yes. And I think, that's the Emperor. That Chancellor guy is the Emperor. I didn't even know that. How could I not realize that was the Emperor? But, it was like, holy cow, I did not know that to be the Emperor because, his face looked different. What happened with his face? Why did his face look all
And we
different?
get explained why. Which is a lot of memes have come about it. But I'm with you, Tony. You're not the only one. Like I said, when episode 1 and 2 came out, I couldn't really equate that Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious. I thought it was another person. That there was another Sith Lord behind the scenes. So then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, but wait, that's supposed to be the Emperor as a young guy. So when's he going to turn into the Emperor? Or when is this guy going to become Darth Vader's, the Dark Lord? Mm-hmm. When this other guy is the Dark Lord? So I guess you can give the prequel trilogy credit that it managed to fool me.
Yeah, I guess
even though I thought I knew what I was supposed to see.
Mm-hmm. I guess you could say that, yeah. But I just couldn't believe that, wow, that was him. But then one problem I had is that, it took forever for Obi-Wan and Padme to figure out what happened to Anakin. I was thinking to myself, come on, hurry it up already, I thought to myself. But,
well, it shows you what happened, because you realize Obi-Wan is in the middle of a battle. He fought General Grievous, which, by the way, was awesome. What'd you think of Grievous?
Very cool. Boss of fair battle. It was better than the Count Dooku one. They killed, I think the Count Dooku one, they rushed through the Battle of Count Dooku, in my opinion. They rushed it a little too fast. And then
they actually did rush that whole opening sequence a lot. There actually is a whole big sequence that they cut out. So there was definitely a lot more to them rescuing the Palpatine and doing stuff about Count Dooku. But yeah, largely, you could definitely, people would think, well, why couldn't Count Dooku just tell Anakin, Chancellor set me up to this, that he's the Sith Lord. He could have easily said it to save his own skin. So maybe it's possible that the Emperor secretly was holding his tongue, so he made it impossible for Count Dooku to try to save his own skin. Because obviously this is Palpatine orchestrating everything. He knew Anakin had something in him, and it's like, oh, this is my guy. I'm going to definitely get him to turn. And
yeah,
this is one way I'm going to get him to do that.
Yeah, because when I heard it, we never really talked about the clone troopers at all. But I thought to myself,
right? But we forgot to talk about Jango and Boba Fett. So go right ahead.
Well, the clone troopers, you put two and two together and who the stormtroopers are. They were the clone troopers who become stormtroopers. Even Battlefront 2 2005 explained this too, how they get new armor and all that stuff and everything. And yeah, we didn't really talk about Jango Boba Fett because Jango Fett was only in a small part of episode 2, and the kid actor who plays Boba Fett was he wasn't really a Star Wars fan or that I heard. But I just kind of top it there. But
it was I think it was in there for a little fan service because people that were they go ape shit over Boba Fett. Like, oh my God, it's Boba Fett as a young kid. I think that was definitely in it for fan service. I do, and going back to episode 2 a little bit, I do love that scene where they're chasing Obi-Wan through the ring around Geonosis. So, and that sound effect from the seismic charge never gets old.
Yeah, Tamir Morrison, the guy who plays Jango Fett, actually makes an appearance as one of the clone troopers in episode 3.
I remember that.
Which I thought was cool. I call him 3-8 because he voiced 3-8 in Republic Commando, so to me, that was 3-8 he was playing as. And I remember, when I saw that in the theaters, the kid behind me saying, I thought Jango Fett died.
People, I think, wait, no, that's a clone of him. Everybody was cloned after him.
Surprisingly, they all sounded different and stuff, too, so yeah, but that's just me, though.
Well,
but
it's it's obviously a little different than the First Order in the sequel trilogy, which actually does abduct children to fight for them. But that's different.
Yeah, because like you just put two together, like the game gets like when Obi-Wan finds out that Anakin turned to the dark side, you see how sad he is because Anakin was like a
He's
brother.
devastated.
Anakin was like a brother to him.
Ewan McGregor is easily hands down one of the best things about the prequel trilogy. Like you totally are convinced that he is Alec Guinness as a young guy.
They sound similar too.
Sound similar, and as much as as people give flack for the writing, he seems to be doing it well. Like he's one of the only few actors that actually gets how the lines are supposed to be delivered.
And an interesting tidbit there when he's telling Padme that Anakin turned the dark side and he saw the hollow image and he saw the hollow recording of him killing younglings. You know how
to laugh. Yep, he's trying not to laugh.
I don't know how that's funny, and so I don't know how he'd find that funny or something like that. But
because they are actors and they are repeating that same line over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's why he covered his
so
mouth.
you know that they're going to break, and somehow that little take made it seem like he was crying, and people go with it. And if it looks like a genuine moment and actually does tell the story you're going to tell, that's what you do. So you go with it.
It's very true because but Padme said announced that even though Anakin was Darth Vader at the time, he still loved and cared for Padme and stuff. He still loved and cared for her, and he was hoping that he could get her on his side and stuff like that.
He's trying to stop her from dying. That he thinks that she's going to die in childbirth, so he's trying to stop her from dying. I remember that's the whole thing that he said in episode 2 is like, I'm going to become so powerful that I'm going to stop people from dying.
Yes, and look what happened. But but this is what I don't get. Like at the end, how did Padme die just because he grabbed her neck and stuff like that? She was still alive and breathing, and all of a sudden she just loses the will to live.
They explained, it was the robots who explained to Obi-Wan, basically she just loses her will to live. Like they explained to Obi-Wan, look, her vitals are okay, she's physically fine, but she has just lost the will to live. And it's happened. Imagine if it's a husband and wife that have been together for so many years, like 70 years or whatever. So when one husband goes out or when one spouse goes out, the other one will follow. It happens. People can just lose the will and allow their bodies to shut down. I don't know how they do it.
It just happens. I
don't want to know how to do it, but it does happen.
That was pretty sad. Right after she has the babies, Luke and Leia, she dies. It's sad. Like I remember telling one of my friends who was a girl and stuff like that. She was a friend of mine. She was asking me what happened in the movie and stuff, and I told her she died right after she had the babies, and I didn't really like saying that. It's a sad thing. Both Anakin and Padme suffered. Anakin lost all his arms and legs instead that he got burned badly. And Obi-Wan, when Obi-Wan said, you were the chosen one, he said you would destroy the Sith, not join them. And, you can tell you wanted to cry. But, that was like his brother. And, Palpatine is just, he tricks him the whole time so that it's like, the acting thing, I think the two best actors in that were Ewan McGregor and Ian McDermott. They were the two best actors.
Oh, yeah. And Ian McDermott definitely steals the show in episode 3. You can tell that they're trying to make up for his lack of old man mobility when they have him fight against when he fights Mace Windu.
Yeah,
because you can just tell he's doing sword fighting as it's done on stage, and so you can just tell it was off. But the intensity was there, the psychology was there, so you were able to suspend your disbelief.
Yes, definitely, because it's like. It almost makes it, to be honest with you, the main villain of the series of the original trilogy is not Darth Vader. It's Palpatine. He's the main villain because he tricked Anakin and convinced him and told him all his lies.
When you go through all 6 of them, yes, it's definitely that Palpatine is the main villain and Anakin is the fallen hero. you can definitely see that all 6 movies are actually more about Anakin than they are about Luke and Han and Leia.
It's like
But it really just depends on how you watch the trilogies. If you watch 3, 4, and 4, 5, and 6 alone, then yeah, Luke is the main character, Darth Vader is the bad guy, and it turns out he is answering to another bad guy.
Yeah.
But then you watch all 6, it's definitely a bigger story than that.
Well, the thing is, James Rolfe said it the best. If you watch 4, 5, and 6, it makes Anakin seem like a badass villain. But if you watch,
basically what I just said.
But if you watch all the episodes of the prequel start, that it makes them seem tragic than heartless.
Basically, just what I said.
Yeah, perfect example of like that. It's like Scott Shelby from Heavy Rain. There, start that. Like it's like he's considered a tragic villain. What happened to him in his life, and him to kill the origami killer and stuff. It's like that's like this kind of like Anakin Skywalker a little bit. But yeah, like get back.
What did you think about the scene that everybody makes fun of? You know the one I'm talking about.
Which scene?
No.
Yeah, that. Honestly, I was hoping for him to have more lines in the suit. You know, it was cool they got James Earl Jones to voice him again. But you know, it's like you could tell like he knows he fucked up and he can't get his wife back. And you know, like it's just that. Yeah. But both Anakin and Padme suffered. Like Anakin died, Vader was born, and you know he got all burned up and everything like that. And just the way he looked is why they got rid of the eyebrows in the unmasking scene in Return of the Jedi, and why they made his eyes blue and stuff too in the unmasking scene in the DVD version of Return of the Jedi. And just
we're going over those minor things again.
Yes, I am. Just very quickly, and I'm just very quickly. But like it's like when you put that mask on, put that helmet and stuff, it's like, oh cool, it's Darth Vader. He's born. Darth Vader is born. And
love the soundtrack. I love the score that's playing. In fact, the tune Anakin versus Obi-Wan and Fall of the Heroes is also right up there.
Now, and you see how Obi-Wan got Anakin's lightsaber. He took it from him from when he defeated him on Mustafar.
Your father really wanted you to have this because he lost his arms and legs.
Yeah. Well, it's like that made me sad when he said "I hate you" and stuff like that. I mean, he doesn't really.
No. That proved that Hayden Christensen is not a bad actor. You could tell he could emote. When he is given a chance to emote, he did, and that was spot on.
I don't think he really hated Obi-Wan. He was just upset. He probably just hurt.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, he didn't really.
That was just the dark side taking over, without a doubt.
Yeah, but like just when you hear Palpatine saying, "There he is. He's still alive." When he says that clicks in your mind like, holy shit, he's gonna get tricked. He's being lied to. It's like, and you can tell the way those clone troopers look with those helmets. You can tell they were slowly evolving into stormtroopers too. Like wow, and just then like I think one of my favorite scenes in Avengers Set is when Yoda and Obi-Wan and what was the other guy? I forget the other guy's name. Obi-Wan and the other guy.
Ace Windu?
No, the guy with the hidden said the children must be kept. At the end, where they're talking about where to put the children and stuff like that. You know, like the guy.
That was Jimmy Smits. That was Leia Organa's adopted father.
That was his real name, Jimmy Smits. That was his actor. That was
the actor. Bail Organa. Organa. That was his name.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. Like when Bail Organa, Yoda, and Obi-Wan are talking. I like that scene where they go hidden, safe. The children must be kept. Whether it's just not. That's a very strong scene. Just three of them talking makes the scene seem very powerful. And, you know, I really enjoyed that. That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. And then you see the funeral scene, too, of, like, Padme. It was, like, all covered in flowers. It's just, it's sad and stuff. And then, like, it ends with them building the Death Star. And then it ended. And when we're leaving the theater, my dad said this, I wonder what's going to happen next.
That's funny. Did you know? Now, remember how Padme died? Her last line was, "They're still good in him. I felt it."
Mm-hmm.
Very good nod to obviously Return of the Jedi, something that Luke obviously feels the same. There's also some key details that you can notice as well. In Return of the Jedi, when Luke asks about Leia's mother, "Hey, do you remember your mother?" "Yeah, I remember her. She was very beautiful, but she looked really sad." And then obviously people are like, "But wait a minute, Leia was separated as a baby or whatever." But there is a thing. Leia remembers her adopted mother, and it's obvious. because her eyes were open in that little scene where she gets given to her adopted mother.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, her adopted mother must have died really young, obviously, over the course of 19 years.
Mm-hmm. And of
But
course, like,
and then Luke's eyes are closed when he's given to Owen and Aunt Beru.
yeah, because I forgot they were in the prequel movies there too, because I actually saw a little interview of like the two actors that of Owen and Beru and stuff. So it was cool to see
Mm-hmm.
them and stuff. And of course, yeah, you got to see the blockade runner too at the end too. A little sign that the ships are going to be improving stuff to become X-wings and Y-wings and stuff too.
There was a deleted scene that actually talks about how the Rebel Alliance was actually going to form during the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I know there's a lot of fan cuts that happen where people just decided to. Somebody did a fan cut where it was all three prequel movies, but it was just the good scenes, and it was like the ending of Episode 1 with the double-bladed lightsaber, and Obi-Wan promising to train Anakin, then a little bit of Episode 2, and then mostly Episode 3.
Yeah, I know what you mean there, definitely. Because like it's just like wow, because like it just that ending is very intense and very dark. It's
Mhm.
like back to that one scene. That's probably one of the best scenes in cinema history because you know why it's called A New Hope now, right? Because even
Sure.
because the Luke Skywalker is now the hope to
Mhm.
defeating the Empire.
So, I mean, yeah, we definitely love Episode 3. Do you think Episode 3 is as good as any of the original trilogy movies?
It comes close, but I gotta say the original trilogy is better. It comes close though.
I think it is just as good as any of the original trilogy movies. It's, I agree, there's a lot of faults with it. All of the original trilogy movies have their faults, as we've talked about,
Yes.
but I think it's right up there with it.
It comes
It's
close.
definitely,
It comes close in
and
my
it is,
opinion.
and here's the thing about it is that Revenge of the Sith is the only Star Wars movie that has blown me away. All of the other Star Wars movies I've expected to be really good, and I either got what I expected or was severely disappointed. Revenge of the Sith was the only one that blew me away.
Hmm.
So that basically just tells you how good that movie is in my book.
Hmm. I get what you mean there, but yeah, like that's but yeah, like just it is still a good movie. I mean it's still a good movie. It's better than the sequel trilogy, which we'll talk about in the next episode. But like we got to talk about the other stuff, the video games,
Ooh, the fun stuff.
the video
That's right.
games, the toys, the merchandise and stuff. Well,
So again, we were only kids for a little bit longer. I was 11, so I really wasn't collecting much of the action figures past episode 1. But yeah, I do remember that little comlink thing because the toy aisle in the stores would have them ready to be used. So you could just take a toy off of the the hanger or whatever, and then put the comlink up, and you can have the toys in the store talk to each other. So it was a cool little gimmick that they had.
yeah, like I remember they had them at Walmart, Toys R Us, and stuff like that. They were those things were everywhere. Like people were flocking to get those toys and stuff like that. Like, and of
I
course
did
they,
have an Obi-Wan figure. I
yeah,
definitely had that. I also wanted a Darth Maul, so I had to. I remember just compromising, finding a Darth Maul that had the single bladed, and then there was another thing
had a
where
double blade.
that had the double blade. But
I
obviously, that's who I wanted. I wanted Obi-Wan and Darth Maul because
yeah.
that their little fight is still up there.
Yeah, because like I do remember like they also had a Queen Amidala Barbie doll for the girls too and stuff. I remember
There you
that.
exactly. For those that say that Star Wars didn't appeal to girls, of course it did. So them trying to push for what they did in the sequel trilogy to try to appeal to more girls was like, what the fuck are they thinking? But go ahead.
Yeah, because like I remember like that too. I remember like they also had this talking Jar Jar Binks doll with this pit droid clock too, where it was an annoying toy, but I never got. It, but still, it was fun to to play, especially when we Jar Jar like like that was like oh my god. I'm sure if I bought the toy, it would have annoyed my parents to death with that whole thing. But
Do you remember any of the Taco Bell toys? Because I
uh-huh.
remember the Taco Bell did stuff for the special edition.
Yes, the
Like I had
wind up.
I had the cube that if you turn one way it's Yoda, then the other way it's Vader because of that
Mhm.
little mirror trick.
I remember the wind up Sebulba doll. I remember no, the wind up Sebulba toy where he walks on his arms and all that stuff and everything. And just I don't remember much about all the toys there and stuff. I remember the posters they had there and stuff. And I remember like they had those posters for a while and stuff. That even after episode one came out and stuff too, and just like the toy line was just big, like huge. I mean, I don't remember the toy line for episode 2 being as big or episode 3 being as big, but I know episode
We
1.
were older. I was too old. I wasn't really into toys or collecting toys that much at that time.
My brother
Like
got
the last toys I really ever got was like Lego Star Wars because that was in his infancy. And of course, I went after getting Qui-Gon, and then I went after getting Darth Maul because I literally wanted those little Lego figures where you can do 1 or 2 lightsabers, but you can also customize it so you can have Qui-Gon with a double lightsaber.
I never thought of that, but I know what toy you're talking about. I know which one. Like,
I
but,
had the ship that it was Darth Maul's Sith ship that he flew on Tatooine, and then it actually came, and then you can actually build Darth Maul's speeder that could be stored inside of it. So you can open it, and then you can have Darth Maul and his speeder come out of it.
oh yeah, I remember all those too. I also remember like those things that the pit droids rode on. Those little brown things he rode on. I had one of those toys. That was like really cool. Reminded me of the ATST a little bit in my eyes.
Sure.
And of course, also I had a Power of the Force Jedi Starfighter stuff, which was pretty cool because around that time my brother got that toy. The game Jedi Starfighter came out for the PlayStation 2 and stuff, and
Yeah.
and I also remember like the hardest figure to find for episode 2 for us was the Anakin figure. We could not find the Anakin figure at all.
Now that's funny because Anakin, you talk to an adult, and people are like, "Oh, Anakin sucks. How dare! I can't believe they made Anakin so bad." You're telling me Anakin was the hardest figure to find?
We couldn't find him in any of the toy stores
That's funny. That's amazing. I'm surprised to hear that.
because
Or maybe not so, but again, we're kids at the time. We all wanted to be Anakin.
we saw it, but you know what? We know where we saw it at. It was a decoration at the Burger King we went to for lunch.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know it's funny stuff because it's like this is about the time this is one time I stopped playing with toys because I wanted to collect Star Wars and stuff, so I still wanted to have that collection or so. Not just me, but I remember it was just like wow, and I was getting more into the video games and stuff too and stuff like that, which I know you have a game you want to talk about with episode 1 and stuff like that, and so do
A
I.
game that I have been urging you to get, or even just play on emulation, which of course you got to break your one rule, Batman. You got to play this game. It's not the best game. It is actually probably might even be considered a bad game because it has tank controls.
I like
And I
tank
mean
controls.
D-pad.
I don't mind tank
No.
controls.
No, but I mean D-pad tank controls, not with shoulder buttons. Basically, the only way to go forward is to press up, and your left and right is turning left and right. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I played Resident Evil and I was looking at that tank controls. I know what you mean definitely.
Okay. So it's tank controls. I mean, yeah, you're playing as Obi-Wan and Anakin and Obi-Wan, and you have a couple levels where you play as Padme, as well as there's one where you play as Captain Panaka. Was that his name?
Yeah.
Episode 1, The Phantom Menace on the PS1. Not a great game, but oh my god, I have so many memories with it.
See, that's why I thought Obi-Wan was the main character. He's the main character in the video game. You play as him a lot.
No, you play as him in I think 5 levels. You play as Qui-Gon in 3, and then you play as Padme in 2 of them, where you actually cycle between Padme and Obi-Wan in 2 of them. I think probably because if you're going to market it to gamers or younger people, who do you think you're going to want to play as in most of the missions? You're going to want to play as Obi-Wan. I get it.
Or Padme if you want to play as a female character and stuff. Like me,
There you go.
Like us, we both like playing as female characters in video games, Anthony. So.
That's right. We do. We absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course there's the Coruscant level where you're playing as Panaka, and his controls just are terrible. In fact, it's almost impossible to beat that level without the special code input, which gives you invincibility or prevents you from dying. It's just his controls are just so clunky. You're not you don't get to use a lightsaber. The weapons that you're given are just kind of they're off. But when you play as a Jedi, you have your lightsaber lightsaber function where you can deflect some blasters. And I remember playing the levels where you're in Theed and you're going through Theed and then you're escaping from Theed. Those are some of my favorite levels to go through, minus the part where you actually have to escort the queen. Because the queen can be in different locations or just be very clunky. Or if you go too far away from her and she gets killed. And then, of course, the most infamous levels are the Qui-Gon levels because you're on Tatooine and you're not necessarily running and gunning like you are with the Obi-Wan levels. You actually have to go up and talk to NPCs to find out where you're going. So it's a little change of pace. So you would have to do these little missions for people to ultimately help you find where Anakin is. At first, you don't like those Qui-Gon levels, but then after a while, they're actually some of your favorites. And this is how they don't make games like this anymore. You could basically go through Mos Eisley or Mos Eisley, whichever one it is, like Grand Theft Auto style. You can practically go through that level and kill everybody. You can kill all the shopkeepers. You can kill all the children. In fact, when you start killing people, you'll have a little child go to you. Who are you going to murder next, mister?
In fact, you want to hear something funny? We actually got the guidebook on accident because we got the guidebook for the wrong game. We got Phantom Menace to the episode 1 race, so we got the guidebook for the game, but never got the game itself.
You gotta get the fucking game, dude. It's just it has to be played to be believed. That's just what I'm saying.
I've seen videos.
The fact that you can go through Mos Eisley and murder children. you try doing that in a game made in 2022. A game that was not, a rated T game, for that matter. You can kill children.
There'd be losses of the ass if you do that now.
Exactly. It's one thing if it's rated MA. I get that, but you're fucking... You could also go... There's an Obi-Wan level where you can actually get by and murder every Gungan you see, and you can still complete the level. Don't kill Jar Jar, but you can kill every other Gungan in there.
Oh, I believe it, yeah. But, yeah, but the game I want to talk about Star Wars Episode 1 Racer right now, a game that you never... I played mainly... I only played the N64 version, so I knew I wasn't aware that the N64 version had features missing and stuff like that from the PC version. It was only recently when I got a chance to play Episode 1 Racer on the PS4 so I could experience the things I was missing. You had characters like Anakin Skywalker, Dudbolt, Aldar Beto, Gascano, Fudsang, Odi Mandel, Ebi and all of them speak in the Tatooine language except for Anakin. Anakin only speaks English, but usually when I first got the game, I thought I was going to play as one of the creatures, but when I realized that Anakin Skywalker was in this game, I mainly only played as Anakin. For some odd reason, don't know why.
Weird, because I think they had Jake Lloyd voice Anakin in the Phantom Menace game.
I don't know, but I know I remember Waldo. Waldo was a funny spark. He's like, when you buy a pit droid, he's like, so you want to buy pit droid, huh? Take a look around. I got everything you need to fix your pod racer. And when you had a character at the shop, you'd have like your character along with R2-D2 or Qui-Gon or C-3PO or Jar Jar or so next to you and stuff. And I'd like think so. Oh, I want to see something next. It's gonna be C-3PO with Anakin or R2-D2 with Anakin. Only problem is that I wish that you actually heard them talk to each other, but they don't really do that. But like, there's a lot that game is big, lots of races. It was really cool, especially like the countdown 3, 2, 1 is in Tatooine language. But it's really cool because after you beat a race, you can unlock a new character, and there's so many characters you can unlock and so many races. It's not even funny. It just goes on and on and on.
So who did you like to play as?
Anakin.
Okay.
But then there's also the other ones too. I played Jedi Starfighter, which was a cool game. I forget the character. You play the female character. I like that game. I also played Star Wars Starfighter, which is like you play is a Naboo Starfighter. both of them are very similar to one another and stuff like that. So like talking about both of them would be like to like comparing apples to oranges. So still like I just they're both really good. There's also
Did you ever play Jedi? Did you ever play Jedi Power Battles?
no.
That one I thought was really awesome because you could play co-op. So even though they would be some other Jedis that were actually not in the movie at all, but you could basically play through the story of Episode 1 in a co-op mode. So one guy could be in a two-player co-op, which I actually thought was really awesome. So, and I remember playing it with my nephew, who was old enough to play video games. He was quite good at them at the time. Problem is that game was hard. But still, hey, we're playing Star Wars together, co-op. We're both co-op Jedis. I thought that was actually pretty cool.
I never played
Jedi
it.
Power Battles is not that great of a game.
Yeah, Master Terrascasi seems better anyway.
Because you like Tekken, that's why.
Duh. You got of course. Yeah, duh. That's why. But there's also there's also Bounty Hunter who plays Jango Fett. That was a good one. Star Wars Beer played that one. Star Wars Bounty Hunter who plays Jango Fett. That one was really cool. That's a cool game there to go and just play as Jango Fett himself. Like how can't get any better than that. And there was also the Clone Wars game, like we play as Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, or Anakin. It takes place after Episode 2, and that game was basically a vehicular combat game with some on-foot action.
Did you ever see any of the Clone Wars TV shows, or did you ever see the Clone Wars movie, which was supposed to be set between 2 and 3?
That cartoon, that CG cartoon one back in 2014.
You ever see it?
No, it looked like garbage.
Never seen it, but my younger nephew is begging me to watch it because apparently it is a well-written show. It has some characters that are still Ahsoka Tano, who's supposed to be more a very well-known iconic Star Wars character now. I never was interested in it. I never was interested in the movie. He keeps begging me to watch it. He says, no, you need to watch this before you want to watch The Mandalorian. Well, I don't want to watch The Mandalorian either because I was never interested.
Yeah, I know. But like when it comes to back to like the prequel games stuff, one of the coolest prequel games, Star Wars games that they had out was Star Wars Republic Commando. You ever heard of that game?
Nope.
That's a game that's a first-person shooter, kind of similar to Metroid Prime. It doesn't have the opening name scroll. It doesn't. It's basically there's no cuts in it. They tried to make the game look real. You're not taken out of the action. You're always looking through 3/8 eyes. It's like Metroid Prime. So it's like that. That's why there are no cutscenes in it or anything like that. The subtitles appear on the visor on your visor and stuff. It's very cool. It basically takes place right before Episode 3, and I remember like playing it like thinking, "Whoa, this is really cool," because like I knew the game was like Metroid Prime, a game I really enjoyed, and just. That game was fun, and I was disappointed that there was no PlayStation 2 version, but we got it for the PS4, so that's fine. But that's a game. If you like first-person shooters, Anthony, that you need to check out. That game is fun. They make it look real and everything, feel real.
My oldest nephew, he actually played the Episode 3 video game on PlayStation 2, and so I knew ahead of time that Padme died because he said, "Oh, Padme dies in the video game." Well,
she's not even in the video game.
Well, he said that he learned that Padme dies from playing that game.
Padme's not in the game at all. Maybe because there's a lot of footage from the movie in that game, but there are a couple games
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but there's a game I forgot to mention, Star Wars New Droid Army. That's what I forgot to mention for the Game Boy Advance. That was like a 3D game where you play as like Anakin from Episode 2 and stuff, and that game tried to take advantage of the 3D elements of the Game Boy Advance game. Didn't really work the best, but I really liked. But I thought, well, I guess it's okay for its time. I never played the Episode 2 game, so I know nothing about it. I know about the Game Boy Advance, but I did play. Did you ever play Lego Star Wars?
No, that was past my time.
My brother got it, and he sold it to get Star Wars Episode 3 because he'd rather play the original version rather than the Lego version. But you gotta understand though, the Lego version does have its key element, does have its fun factor.
Well, it has a following. People that it's Lego Star Wars is more than just the toy. It's basically its own brand.
Yeah, definitely.
There's Lego Star Wars movies. There's Lego Star Wars video games. You could basically watch all of 9 fucking movies in Lego form.
Yeah,
That's just it's its own entity at this point.
yeah. There's no voice acting in that game. It's just
I don't think there's much voice acting in the movies either. I don't know.
no, like
I've
in the
never
game,
watched
in the
it. I've
PS2
never
game,
cared.
in the PS2 Lego Star Wars game, it says.
I heard in one of the Lego Star Wars games, because there was no voice acting. So when you get to the part where Darth Vader reveals he's the father, he holds up a picture instead of actually saying it.
Yeah, that was kind of weird that there was no voice acting, but that's just me though. But Revenge of the Sith video game, I thought the game was not very good. It's like it's way too easy and stuff. It's just the people who
Episode 1 is not an easy game.
no. Well, let me tell you something about Episode 3. It was way too easy. It was only 5 hours long, and the fact like it's just
Oh,
wait.
It doesn't surprise me.
There was footage from the movie in the game. And if you played the game before you saw the movie, because it came out before the movie, you'd ruin the movie for yourself because there was a lot of
That's how my nephew knew that Padme dies. That's what I'm saying.
Because Padme wasn't in the movie at all. That's why Padme wasn't in the game at all. But just that, it's like, it was very boring. There was no vehicles to pilot or anything like that. Just like, it's just, there is a cool Easter egg though. The final level, there's 2 versions of the final level where Anthony and Obi-Wan are fighting off. There was a version, there's one level you play as Obi-Wan that level. Then it's the opposite, you play as Anakin. And there are 2 different levels, and like the non-canon ending where Anakin kills Obi-Wan, and he kills like and then he kills the Emperor too. He goes, "No, the galaxy belongs to me." That's pretty cool there. I like how they did. I like how that little Easter egg they got in there. And
well, fan fiction, fan service, but they pretty much will do it a little bit for the video games and the toys, and pretty much our thoughts on the prequel trilogy.
We should mention that like Battlefront 2 had some Episode 3 stuff in there as well. With like I talked a little bit about Battlefront 3.
We mentioned that a little bit in the previous video as well. Remember, I talked about how you can play as Anakin killing teenage Jedis.
Yes, and
we've already talked about it.
Well, I just want to mention the training level very quickly because, like it says, it has an Episode 3 feel because it came out on the same day.
The Geonosis level, yeah.
Because Battlefront 2 came out on the same day Episode 3 came out on DVD. That's why I mentioned this little part there. Because like it feels that way and stuff. And when I review that game, I'm gonna definitely mention that training level and stuff.
No, do whatever you want on that. Do whatever you want. That's your review. I'm just part of your podcast at this point.
Yeah.
And this is all we're doing for burgers and fries with a shake. So, Tony, any final thoughts on the prequel trilogy before we close?
To be honest with you, compared to the sequel trilogy, these games are definitely much better than the sequel trilogy. And it makes the prequel movies seem excellent, in my opinion, Anthony, by a long shot.
I cannot wait to hear about your thoughts on the sequel trilogy, especially Episode 8. Oh boy!
Yes, because I have to watch it. I know
you have to watch it. You can't just watch a review of it. You have to watch the movie yourself.
I'm going to. Don't worry.
Well, that is it for episode 22 of Burgers and Fries with a Shake. If you agree with us or you disagree with us, we would love to hear you on the comment section. Make sure you like and subscribe and share and help grow this podcast. I'm DesertCoyote22. Thanks for listening. Tony, what you got to say?
Well, those of you who want to check out the prequel movies, hey, we respect your opinions there and stuff. If you like them, hey, that's more power to you and stuff. To me, I thought the prequel trilogy is okay compared to the sequel trilogy.
We already just said that, Tony.
I know I want to say it again anyway.
No, you don't. You can just take that out. Do a final greeting, and then we're done.
Well, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Just thank you all for joining us in this podcast. Stay tuned. We're gonna talk about the Disney sequel trilogy, and we all know how that's gonna be. Yeah, listen to what Anthony says. Yeah. Oh boy, do we have a lot to say about this. That's all we gotta say. It's Tony.
Catch you next time for episode 23.
May the force be with you all, and stay tuned. More Star Wars videos are coming all month long. Take care, everybody.
Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm close.